Hello there and welcome to another Fruitful Folk podcast. Here we are again, episode number 15, again about OWC. Today I'm joined by a few interesting people. Toy's first interview kind of as well for us. He's supposed to be one of our podcasters, but here he is finally doing his first interview. Welcome to you. We have Jazzy sitting in the background as well for whenever Jazzy wants to ask a few questions, but primarily she's going to be focusing on her match she's reffing, and our interviewed person is our lovely Doomsday today. Hey there.
Hello.
Doing
I'm
good? Alright.
Yeah.
Before even asking. Great. But yeah, your voice is beautiful, and you've been involved with this OWC for quite some time, so here we are asking you a few questions about everything you've experienced this OWC and a few of your past OWCs. But before we get started on that, first question is an obvious one, obviously. Who are you actually? How did you get into OWC, and what is your history in this entire game, actually?
Well, I've been a player for like 9.5 years now, since about 2008. Found it off a video on game trailers, and since then I've been a bat, so for about 2 to 3 years I was part of that, ranking maps and whatnot. I've casted on OWC since 2015 and played in it since the first one. I think I missed 2 of the tournaments, but yeah, and apart from the commentating and the modding back 5 years ago, I've just been a player and I've never really stopped since started, so...
I mean, that's quite the track record, honestly.
That's really cool. I actually have a question that's not on our guide, but you have a profile badge here and it says anti-beat tournament. I want to know like when you started to get into tournaments in general and which ones were your favorites.
Well, the anti-beat tournament, it was a 4v4 tournament, I think in around 2014, and I was part of a really strong team and they won that, which is good. First tournament I played in was the tag team tournament, which I don't know if it was the first major tournament that was hosted for the game, but I don't remember one before then. It was like a 2v2 tournament. That was nice. 2010, I think. I think that's the first one.
Wow, there were tournaments, like community tournaments back in 2010?
I think it was. It might have been 2011. I don't remember, to be honest, but it was around then. There wasn't many, though. Like, that was the first one I remember being any sort of major, because it had a bunch of the big players at the time.
That's really cool. So what was your history in specifically the World Cup? Like, when did you first get involved with it? Have you played in every single World Cup so far?
Oh, no. I missed 2 of them. I missed the second and third one. Second one because I was away, I didn't sign up, and the third one because... Okay, so the third one was because, like, so either me or Jesse1412 was going to be captaining that team, and we had a roster, and it was all set up, and we were like, yeah, let's do it. All right, is someone going to post it in the thread? And then neither of us posted it in the thread. And that's why we didn't play in the third one. But yeah, apart from that, I've played in all of them.
So the UK just didn't play that year?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope.
Technical issues.
Yeah, we'll go with that. I'm not sure how that happened. Bloody, yeah.
And when did you start getting involved with commentating the World Cups, since you've been, like, for the past 2 years that I've seen it?
I was approached in 2015 if I wanted to join it, and I really wanted to before then, but I wasn't sure how in there, because back then it was like Mysticolor and Priors and all that. And I wanted to, but in 2015 I was contacted by Deadbeat if I wanted to join it, and I jumped on the opportunity because it's like, why not, man? That would have been good. And just since then, I've been a regular. That's
so
pretty much how that worked out. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of leads us to the next question. How did you get approached to commentate for OWC? I mean, seemingly that's in 2015, but like, what were Deadbeat's arguments on recruiting you in the team, actually? Like, did he check out your stream, or was there any kind of reason to this?
I guess so, because I didn't really do much commentary stuff with them apart from being on a couple of the interviews they did on the OWC Academy and that. And I know the staff pretty well from my time as a bat, so I was already quite in good standing with a lot of them, and I suppose they just knew me because I've been around for so long. And I guess the fact that I was on the interview, they must have thought something from that. I'm not sure. I'm just speculating, but I'm guessing
that makes sense. Yeah. Who were your co-workers back then? Like, which people also commentated, and what was your experience? I mean, that was like 2 years ago. I mean, a lot has changed since then, obviously. So, what differences are there between 2015, for example, 2017 in commentary for OWC?
It's a lot more organized than what it used to be. Like in 2015 when I joined, it was very much like who's around for this, and if you're around, you can commentate. So sometimes you'd have like one person in, and other times like for the big matches, everyone wants in, so you have like 5 people in there. Yeah, to be honest, like having like more than like 3 people in for commentary, it just gets too much.
Kind of gets chaotic, yeah.
It really does. From 2016 onwards, though, they were more specific with it, and they had specific, like, just 2 slots for every match with the backup, in case one person couldn't turn up. And I feel like that's worked out so much better. Just because, well, for one, having commentary duos means you're not got people talking over each other all the time, and you've always got people in, and there's never a time when you got no one in, or it's a mess or whatever. Everyone knows exactly what their role is, so it helps with scheduling. Yeah.
Perfect.
Perfect.
In terms of like everyone, like you said, like everyone has their own role. Do you feel like you have a specific role that you fill when you're commentating? Like, is there a style that you bring to a commentary dynamic that you feel is kind of unique to you?
To be honest, because I know usually the way commentary is, you have one hype person, and then you have the one more analytical one. But the thing is with the commentary for OSA is it's quite fluid. It depends who you've got in. But usually I try to be analytical whenever I'm commentating, because there's, the other duo partner, whether it's a high-end player or another general caster, is they can do the play-by-play. I always try to fill in the analytical side and talk about, if there's a map coming up, what parts to look out for and all that, or, previous picks and whatnot. And I try to do that, but I like to fill in hype bits when needed, because it's just fun to do.
So who do you actually feel you commentate well with then, if you're like the analytical guy with this OWC then? We have Gids, Bauxe, Evrian, Happy, Kano, OMG Force, Professional Box, and Z-Trap. Like, you've probably commentated with a few of these people already, maybe not all of them, but who do you feel you are really compatible with then?
I've casted with Fours quite a bit. Me and Fours get on really well because we tend to bounce off each other, like with a sense of humor a lot as well, because casted a few times. Because apart from that, like a lot of the caster group this year is, the people I haven't spoke too much, but casting with Gids and Probox is always good, because those 2 guys are just really bubbly anyway. So it's really good to just chat with them, because you can open up with some subjects and they'll bounce off and you just have a chat, and it's great. Yeah.
I mean, that's lovely.
And I cast with Evrian as well, because I casted with him last year, but I haven't had a chance to cast with him yet this year. So I think I might be this week, actually. But that'll change.
Finally, first time.
Yeah.
So, about your commentary then, once again, you've been a streamer for quite some time. I honestly can't really pinpoint when you started with streaming. Maybe you can fill me up on that.
I started messing around with streaming in about 2012, but I was just testing to see if it worked. From about like autumn 2013, I think, is when I started streaming regularly. Like I streamed like once a week and just carried on from there. But it was around 2013 time.
Yeah, okay. That's quite a while back, of course. That's about 4 years by now. So yeah, you're kind of experienced in that field. So obviously you're going to have a lot of, mutual contact with the viewers and stuff, and you need to keep them interested. So do you feel as if the streaming has actually helped you improve on commentary for these kind of matches on OC as well, or did it not really affect you that much?
Yeah, 100%. Because to be honest with you, before I started streaming, I was incredibly awkward, and me streaming for this lot. Yeah, it's true though.
Need a hug?
Okay, man. I need some support, man. I'm the shy little fish.
Yeah. I'm there for you. No worries.
Yeah, man. It's like I was really awkward in like speaking in front of people and whatnot. So like streaming and doing all that over the years has actually really helped me like come out in that sense. Yeah, for sure. If I didn't stream, there's no way I'd be able to commentate on anything because I just wouldn't be confident in myself at all. So that's help.
All right.
That's pretty much how that goes.
So, if you feel like it's streaming's helped a lot in terms of really making you comfortable with doing this, do you feel like you have any suggestions for how people can actually get into casting? If it's very much so like a kind of a practice thing where you just need to be in front of people to get comfortable with, I guess just speaking in front of an audience without like any feedback really, aside from the chat.
It helps just to get comfortable with it, because I imagine it's daunting, the idea of like going out in front of a load of people and, you know, being expected to sort of carry what's going through with your own like wit. I guess it's daunting, but after a while you just get used to it and you sort of know what's up, and even if you're in a little bit of a bind about what's going on, you have stuff to say, and that all comes with practice. So yeah, for sure, if people want to get into it and try to get more confident, there's a lot of tournaments going on, and there's a lot of people there that stream it, but they don't necessarily have people to cast it. And it's always handy even just to go there and just get some experience, because there's a lot of tournaments that, you know, they'd like someone as a caster, because it's quite hard to get hold of sometimes. So it's always nice to have a look around and maybe put your services towards tournaments that might want a caster, even if you're inexperienced.
Helps so especially inputs helps. Own input.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's handy just to, you know, if you're casting and you give it a go for the first time and you can see how it feels, see how chat responds, or you could always, if you wanted to be, you know, analytical, you could always just listen to it back yourself and seeing what's up, even though that's really hard to do, to be honest.
Yeah, though I feel like casting isn't just getting in front of on the microphone and talking about what's going on. Like, you should know there are some requirements you need to have to be able to like cast effectively. Like in terms of map pool knowledge and player knowledge, what do you think is like the bare minimum that a caster needs to know to be able to cast efficiently?
The main thing is just having a general sense of, you know, how a tourney match would like play out, in the sense of, you know, because a lot of it's down to, you know, momentum, if a player's winning a bunch or being consistently high combos or whatever. Just knowing the basics of how that generally plays out is handy. And also the obvious one, knowing the map pool. So if a map comes up, you know what's in it and you can say what to look out for, things like that. Like, the biggest thing is just giving the viewers the info they may not know. Like, anyone can call out misses all the time, and I mean, when it's important, fair enough, but like, just knowing what's coming up in a map is handy to know. So oh yeah, this map's got like a big jump spike in the middle, the viewers will know that's the thing to look out for, and that's all down to giving analytical stuff to it.
You can't really just wing it then.
Well, he could, but it ends up being a bit empty. Like, it's handy to at least give the viewers some knowledge about what's in the maps or whatnot beforehand. Actually adds a bit more content to it, in my opinion, rather than just calling out all the misses and nothing else.
Was that also a reason why you were picked to do the drawings, maybe? Because obviously you want to know a lot about the players that are playing in each team, also maybe the lesser known teams. Like, do you feel as if you're like very much invested and a veteran in that area, and you could talk about all the teams, even the lesser known ones, like quite, to quite a very big extent, or?
I guess so. We had a document that everyone contributed to before the drawings that say a little thing about each team. So when they came up, we'd have a little bit of info, but I guess it helps to know, because for the lower teams, sometimes you just don't know about a lot of their players. And I guess there was a couple in like the unseeded I knew, but there was a lot of players in there I didn't. So, I mean, it's always handy, I guess, to have that knowledge for the drawings, because I know I was casting with Probox then, and yeah, because it was his first time like ever casting for World Cup. So I suppose maybe helped him if he didn't know certain things.
Yeah,
but-
like he talked to us, like he was on a previous podcast of ours. He talked to us about it as well, and he felt like because you were there, he was like more at ease as well, and he could talk a little bit easier, as far as I remember. But something along those lines.
good.
But yeah, you two are compatible with each other. Then I do hope, because I mean, Probox was kind of a just a safe net for you as well as you were for Probox, just by filling out each other and having different information in different teams. Then I guess.
Oh, gotta get that Finnish accent though. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes it even more beautiful. Obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. The like the chemistry between the casters is really important, because if you can't bounce off what the other caster's saying, it feels a bit awkward to listen to. So yeah, I mean, me and Probox got on really well in the times I casted with him, because I casted with him a few times over this World Cup, and it's been nice.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Do you ever look back at old tournament matches that you've casted and like notice all these beginner mistakes or any differences that you have from when you first started casting to what you do now?
Yeah, I can't watch them back. I can't do it. It's just I can't watch any of my commentary back. It's just really awkward hearing myself back. But I think the main. Now go on.
I was gonna ask if it was the same for you watching back streams that you do.
Yeah. It's. I don't know. I mean, it's just awkward hearing yourself back, because you're like, oh my god, why did I do that? It's awkward.
But do you feel like it helps out whenever you're doing more commentary in the future by just picking up those mistakes, even though awkward to do, and just preventing it from happening another time in the future?
Yeah. It's handy to at least listen back a bit, just because if it's something you're like, that's horrible, because it's like, oh, that's horrible, you won't do it again, because you'll be wary, you don't want to do it again. Like I know when I casted for the 2015 tournament, I just one of the biggest issues I know a lot of people had with it was people just kept calling out every single miss every single time, and it's not really necessary to hype everything up. And so I'm trying to like call misses not as much, unless they're like there's like a near the end of the map or something, and it actually affects things really heavily. But like at the start, I'm like, there's no need to pick it up. That's the main thing, I think, for me. I know after 2015, I know Falls was like, don't call out the misses, dude. I know he wasn't happy with that. In a nice way, but I know he didn't like it. So I try not to do it as much.
All right.
Nice. So we've kind of talked about how you've gotten into tournaments as a player and then as well as a caster, but how do you feel balancing both, especially with World Cup, where you're literally like prepping your own match and then going on to cast other teams' matches? How do you deal with that?
Well, basically for casting, if I had to play a match then cast something straight after, like I had to do that for today. I just set everything up before the match I got to play, and finish the match and then just jump in. There's not a massive amount of preparation other than just having like the stats sheet open and the sheets we've got with player info and stuff on, which we've got. There's not like a massive amount of pre-preparation for each match, really. So it is what it is.
So it's
That
kind of
makes sense.
feasible.
Yeah, like a lot of it's done like way in advance. If we need to check something out, we do it before.
Okay, that's fair.
Fair
It
enough.
just always seemed like a much more daunting task than I guess you're making it out to be. Because I personally had the same qualms about joining the casting team when I'm trying to prep my own matches, but maybe next year if it's not like too bad for you.
No, it's like, you have the sheets that have the info on for, each player. That's the public one that's in the document. And apart from that, really, it's just, you just do your own thing. It's like, it's not like you haven't got like a big style sheet of things you can't and can do. So it's quite relaxed, to be honest. As long, obviously, you can't curse and all that, and you can't be like too ridiculous, but it's quite relaxed.
But transitioning between like commentary and then going into a match, isn't that like a little bit difficult at least by, maybe not having prepped as much as you could have done?
Well, I know what I'm doing as I go in. Like when you're casting a match, really, what do you need to know? You need to know both rosters of the teams you're watching. You need to know the maps. you have the statistics sheet, which is already really in depth, and you can use that to judge what's going to be picked and what isn't. And then apart from that, it's the own caster's wit. Like it's the duos tend to be, one like a high-end player that knows a lot of the players, and then a hype one. And generally, you can use that information and just go from there. Like a lot of it's intuition to me.
So do you feel like wasting time, which you could have used to play the maps from the map pool, for example?
I guess that sense, as a player, I tend to play the map pool anyway. So obviously, you need to know the map pool. We mentioned that when you're casting a tournament, you don't want to know the map pool. But really, apart from that, a lot of the info we have in the stats document, and you can check that to get an idea of what's gone where. And apart from that, it's intuition from just seeing the players and knowing what they are. Like I casted Canada and Austria earlier today, and a lot of the players you can sort of just glean. Oh, Canada's probably going to go hidden at some point, or are they going to go hard rock because they have good hard rock and hidden players? Like stuff like that. It's just you put 2 and 2 together. Because we know the players, so it's quite handy that.
Also get it not too bad then, seemingly.
Perfect.
Yeah, it is like a relaxed thing casting in there. I mean, obviously you don't want to think about there's like a few thousand people watching,
Yeah.
but like when you're actually in there and once you get the feel for it, it's quite relaxed. You just do your thing and it's fine.
All right, cool. So yeah, moving from the casting a little bit and talking more about you playing in the tournament as well, obviously. We have a question. We wonder actually, who are your favorite teams in this tournament next to the British team, obviously? Not per se as in like power, how strong they are, how far they might get into the tournament, but more like where are your friends at and who do you support in this tournament?
Oh, there's a few. I've got a lot of mates in the Norwegian.
Here comes the shout-outs.
Shout-outs to my boy Yokes, man.
Oh, you're trying to be youthful again. Shit. We talked about this.
I got hip with the kids, man.
Yeah.
The Norwegian team has a lot of mates in, so I want them to do well. The Hong Kong team I have a soft spot for, mainly because I just know that they're super underrated, and I knew before going into this that they were going to cause some upsets, and they did. And I'm proud they did. Brazil's got some cool names in it. There's a lot of individuals I hope do well for sure. But I think my pocket sort of just favorite team is probably going to be Norway, and they're so much fun to watch because they go ham on the free mods and that. They're fun to watch.
So I guess now we're starting to talk about this World Cup specifically. The next question, not written by me. How do you feel about your own team's atmosphere and team's power? What are you strong at, and what are you weak at? Like, where do you feel like your team really excels, and where do you feel like it kind of falls off? And that's not me trying to probe for weaknesses.
It is. It was not me making that question.
I got
a big cough.
Do you have any weaknesses the US should know about?
No. Yeah.
Nothing personal though.
Oh god, yeah. The thing is, the UK team this year is so ridiculously strong. Like, I feel like I'm only a bit part player in this one because we have such a well-rounded roster. I think for me personally, my role in the team is more or less going to be a no mod and a reading guy. Like, I play a lot of the no mod maps and the weird low AR stuff I tend to come in for, and the hiddens as well. But for the most part, like when it comes to stuff like hard rock and double time, we have really strong players for that anyway. So I tend to take a back seat on those. Like the last couple of years, I generally played every map, but not this year. Not saying anything specific.
I mean, it means that players in the UK have also improved since previous year, then I do assume. I mean, you having to do less is only like a good thing because you can specialize more on the things you really want to focus on, like no mod and stuff. So do you feel as if this team is like way stronger than previous year's team as well then? For the UK, that is.
Yeah, for sure. The team this year is quite similar to the one we had last year. Like 6 of the 8 players played last year, but it's because a lot of the players like OP James and James Like and Bubble Man and all that. They were generally up and coming, but now they are just settled and confident. So like they're so much better now, and we have Spare and Castile, so it's like it's a ridiculous roster, even though it's very similar to what it was before.
Yeah, and
People
not
have just
only that,
improved.
but like this is the same team that you will take into 4v4 tournaments. Like this is the Brexit team, aside from maybe one person that's swapped out. Do you feel like playing with your like basically the OWC UK roster throughout the year? Do you think that's helping your team find out like what you're best at, or?
Yeah, for sure. Because like I say, this is essentially the same team we played in OHC, apart from Spook, who's in with like Baha's there instead. And we all know what we can do, so it's not too hard to be like, okay, who's playing this? And you know, we just know what's up, which is really useful.
I mean,
That's
it makes you a
awesome.
really scary team as well. A lot of people, from what I've heard, which is like a question that's actually going to pop up later on, but we always ask what people expect to be the top 3 of this year, and a lot of people are putting the Great Britain in there because of the OHC performance, for one. I mean, a lot of people consider that to be like a tournament highest stakes because you're not like restricted to just nationality. And the British team, you know, Brexit, they made it to 3rd place. Congratulations on that. So a lot of people are afraid because of that. So yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense for you to be more confident in this OWC then as well. I mean, do you feel confident about taking like a high spot in this tournament?
Without like sounding too confident, yeah, I think the UK will do really well this year. Like, everyone on the team, it's not like last year we did well, but like every match we were like, oh man, we're gonna lose, oh no, or we're like, oh no, they're so scary. But this year it's like we actually sort of more confident in every match. We're like, oh, we'll go in and we'll just have fun, and whatever happens happens.
Follow-up
yeah.
question.
There's Jazzy, welcome. Whoa.
Hello. Just thought I'd jump in. Do you feel like your performance last year in OWC 2016 has really improved, like kind of changed the dynamic in the atmosphere? Apart, like, so you said like, oh, you thought that every match you were going to play, you were going to lose last time, but this year you feel like you're more confident in that you're going to try and win each match.
Yeah, we feel like we could, on our day, we could do well against anyone, which really helps us jumping in, being less nervous. Like when you played Poland, God, we were all so nervous. Even though we won it, we were all so nervous because, oh my God, it's Poland. But I mean, like, yeah, I think we could do well against anyone. So that does help when you're playing in a World Cup.
That actually kind of segues into our next question. How do you feel about the opponent you're facing next, which has not been decided yet? Currently, Poland and Brazil still need to have their match, but what do you feel about the possibilities of playing either of those teams?
They're both really strong. I mean, when we watched Brazil against Canada, they looked really, really strong. And I think they could beat Poland, depending on how Poland play, of course. Either one of those are obviously going to be really, really strong. And I think if Brazil win, that's even scarier. So, yeah, either way, it's going to be a hard match. But
for what reasons do you expect Brazil to be scarier than Poland? Like, what I heard from a lot of people is that their team is, like, all over the board, really good. And there's, like, no flaws in their setup when it comes to, like, mods. Is that the same how you feel?
Oh, for Poland?
Oh, for Brazil, I mean, for Brazil.
Oh, for Brazil. Like I said, a lot of the Brazilian players I'm not too familiar with, but it's just off what I saw against Canada, just the way they played. They had 4 FCs and 3 FCs on a lot of them, and they just looked really strong, just overall. And we watched Poland, and they did okay. Maybe they underperformed a little bit, but they did okay. And I think off that basis, that they could be comparable, like performance-wise. That's why I think it could go either way.
What would your prediction be on the end result for that match then?
Oh, gee.
Now you have to think, darn.
Oh God, no! I got to pick one now. I think Poland's gonna win, but I think it's gonna be like 6-3 or something, 6-4, 6-3.
All right, we'll keep that in mind.
That's pretty sane. That's about what I would think too. I don't think Brazil's gonna make it easy, but I think Poland will come out on top.
We'll have to wait and see. That's tomorrow there. 4 p.m. UTC for the people wondering. So yeah, you might want to check that out on the OC Live channel. But yeah, for the Q Finals map pool, we sadly haven't gotten the semi-finals map pool yet. That's going to be tomorrow, obviously. But you've already played through it. You've already played your match against Hong Kong with it. You've swept them, actually. You clean swept them 6-0 from what I have heard, which is a amazing feat, honestly. But how did you like the map pool and playing it? And I mean, what did you like about it? What would you change about it if you could?
I prefer it to the previous map pool for sure. I mean, previous map pool was good. But it just wasn't very exciting. There wasn't very many maps in there that were too special. But there was a few in the quarterfinals that was really cool. Like Sewing Machine was a really cool pick. The hidden with all the overlaps. There's one of the hidden picks that was really cool. There's just a lot more stuff that excites me in this one. It was very stream heavy though, which I know a lot of people I was chatting into were complaining about. It was a bit imbalanced in that sense, which I think it was. But I liked it. It was fun to play.
And what alterations would you make then? For example, you just said that it's really stream heavy, so would you change out some of those maps to for example, technical or jumpy maps? What would your selection be?
Yeah, I mean, it's just mainly just balancing it out a little bit more. I mean, it had some good variance in it. It just could use a few less of those stream maps. It could use a more technical map in the no mod. I know they had Sewing Machine, but they didn't really have a major woobie map apart from Fuego. And I don't think Fuego was that crazy. It's more or less a jump map, to be honest. I think apart from that, the general thing. This is more of a general thing about the early World Cup map pools, to be honest, but their insistence on using 2 picks for the mod picks, I feel limits a lot. I know in the later pools they increased the hidden and the hard rock and the double time pools to 3 instead of 2, but when you have 2 mod picks, there's always something missing in there. There's an element of hidden missing when you only have 2 picks. The hidden pool this time, both of them were sort of technical streamy, but it lacked. Well, for one, this pool had no low AR, which makes me sad. But I mean, yeah. But it's there's always something missing, and I know they've done this for years, and I know a lot of the community tournaments they have 3 mod picks from the get go, and sometimes you even have 4. And I feel it's something the World Cup map pools lack a bit, in my opinion. I think that's the main thing.
I mean, what would your ideal format be then? I mean, mod-wise, how many maps would you like to see in every single mod bracket? I mean, you seemingly aren't really a fan of 2 per bracket, so would you change it to 3 or 4? How would you like it?
Yeah, just having 3 in is a good balance. They have 6 no mods, 2 mods, and then 3 free mod. Just having 3 hidden hard rock and double time instead is a good balance, because it lets you sort of cover a lot of bases in each of those mods. It's the main thing, really. Having 4, I know a lot of tournaments actually have 4 in there, which is a lot. I think a 3 is a good number.
All right, makes sense.
Yeah, it was fun though. It was fun to play, so I can't complain too much.
I mean, it's always about the fun after all, right? In the end.
Yeah, exactly. Point of it at the end of the day, isn't it?
And is there anything that you would like to see in upcoming pools, for semifinals and finals pools? You say that there's always something missing, but is there something that you would hope that they don't forget about in the upcoming pools?
I hope they don't forget about my low AR. I'm slightly scared the semis ain't gonna have one. But I mean, I'm trying to think, because to be honest, I was one of those people that actually really liked the grand finals last year. I know a lot of people complained about a lot of the maps in that. I actually really like that pool. That's mainly because I really like a lot of the weird maps that other people may not.
It's your old maps.
Yeah, to put it another way. God, I'm trying to think something specific. I think really just making sure there's a couple of decent reading maps. Having the high-end mechanical stuff is absolutely important, but just making sure they're covering the reading element. I think that's just a personal bias thing, because that's what I play. But I mean, I think that's really the main thing as well. And also, watching the BPMs they pick and make sure they don't bias it towards fast maps or slow maps. It's that's something that I've noticed from a few tournament pools. Is they sometimes they're a bit lack on the BPM balancing, and sometimes you have too many fast maps. Sometimes you have too many slow maps. I hope they have a nice balance between that.
Which maps do you like for BPM things? Like, do you like high BPM or low? I assume low here, but just wondering. Personal preference.
I mean, it depends on the map, really. It depends on the map. I like fast maps or slow maps. It depends how it's mapped, really. But in a tournament, having a varied BPM range is important because, I mean, if you have too many fast maps, people who can't do the fast stuff are going to be pretty shut down by that, aren't they? So it's important to keep it balanced for the sake of competition, really. More choice for each team.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense again. So, so we already actually went over this briefly a few questions back, but now I hope to hear a little bit of more detail as to why. But what exact place do you expect to be able to reach in this tournament? Like, how far will you get before losing 2 times and being out of it?
I think. Well, we did like a pick 'em on challenge, and I think I put the UK to be second in that.
Ooh.
So I guess I'll go with that.
All right, second. That's pretty cool. I mean, what opponents do you feel are gonna be like the biggest bottlenecks in this tournament for you to be able to reach second place this year?
USA, Poland, for sure.
So you've heard it.
Well, how can I not, man? It's the USA, man.
Gotta be in those heels.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like teams like USA, Poland, South Korea. I think will still be scary as the maps get harder. Just teams like that, they have super strong rosters, and it's like they could definitely beat us on their day. So, I mean, it's just a case of how we do. I mean, we could go all the way, I feel, but I think realistically we're gonna drop the ball at some point. So I think we're not. I'll put ourselves down a second, but that's ambitious.
Ambitious. So, and if you would be realistic, as in like, what would you at least be able to get? What would you say then? Top 6, top 4?
I'd say top 4. I'm pretty confident we'll get top 4 this year.
All right.
Yeah.
So I guess last question would be, who do you think this year's top 3 will be?
I think this year's top 3 will be.
In what order?
Okay. I think it'll
Make it more difficult.
At the current time, I think it'll be South Korea, United Kingdom, and then United States. I think that's how it's going. I think South Korea. Yeah, 3rd to 1st. So South Korea 3rd, UK 2nd, US 1st. I think South Korea will make it to the losers final, and I think we'll beat them. But I think we'd lose in the final. I think that's how it would go. So I feel like we'll probably drop out of the winners, go through losers, and then get to the grand final and drop it. South Korea have such strong mechanical players. I think once they get to the harder map pools, they'll be hard to stop. But I feel like we could beat them. But the USA just have so many ridiculous tournament players. They're going to be so confident because they've been here and done that. I feel like the UK will lose to them.
How do you feel about South Korea dropping down to the losers bracket so early? And now in the next round, they'll actually have to face the loser of Poland or Brazil.
It's just Taiwan has just been doing so good, haven't they? Like they smashed them in the round of 16, and they beat Germany just now. So they're doing really well. I think it wasn't really a case of South Korea massively underperforming. Maybe a little bit, but I think it was mainly just Taiwan having a really strong game because Flask and Ruka were just too good.
I think I noticed.
Oh, sorry.
I think I noticed that Pring, who I consider to be South Korea's strongest player, didn't show up to the Taiwan match. So, yeah.
Oh,
I guess I'm just thinking like they had the potential to like stay in the winners bracket, but now they're in the losers. They have such a hard hill to climb, especially when now some of the top teams are going to start getting knocked down to losers bracket, where they'll have to face either Brazil or Poland, and that itself is not easy.
Oh yeah, for sure, it's going to be really tough for them. But like the thing with South Korea is, as the maps get harder, even if they miss the odd player, they've just got the players that they're just so mechanically good. And on the hard maps, they're going to be more in their element, I think. So they're going to be hard to stop. They could absolutely lose to like Brazil, though, for sure. They could lose to Norway. They could lose to Germany down there. It all depends on how they are on the day, really.
And about Taiwan again, like you said that Taiwan is doing really well, but how does Taiwan's end game fare with like the difficult map pools that you get towards the end? Do you feel as if they can cope with those, or is that going to be their downfall, especially?
Yeah, I think they're going to fall off a bit. I think in the next pool they'll be okay, but I think if they get into the finals pool, they're going to struggle a bit. Because I remember in like last year, I know it's last year, but they had a lot of the same players, and they did fall down. They had to rely on HFIC to carry them a lot of the time. I know Rucker had to drop out at the time, but I feel like once they get to the finals, they're going to struggle a bit.
All right, gotta get a little bit nostalgic about previous years again. Oh, this man. Back in my day.
Dear me.
But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it up. Honestly, I want to thank you for being here at Doomsday. We got to hear a lot of interesting stuff. I put down a few links to Doomsday's social media. It's Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, so definitely go and check him out on there. Definitely want to give him a little bit of love. Toy, I want to thank you for being a host as well. This is your first time.
Absolutely.
But it was good fun to talk with you. Jazzy, for looking at the background, thanks as well. Yeah, the occasional question.
Whoa.
I mean, you're probably still hosting the match, aren't you?
I finished it like 5 minutes ago.
Congratulations, you seem very tired.
I'm pretty tired. I haven't had much sleep. So.
Darn. But yeah, to all of you viewing this podcast, thanks for watching as well. Definitely don't forget to follow us on this Twitch channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The VOD will also be uploaded on there, so you can check it out for yourself. We definitely support... Wow, that was a mistake. Oops. We definitely love all support coming from you guys, right? So give us a little bit of love if you like these kind of podcasts. Again, Doomsday, thanks for being there. I'm sending you on your way back to whatever you're going to have to do this evening. You're going to do movie night over on your channel, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go off and watch some films. It's been lovely. Thanks so much for having me on. It was fun.
Okay, that's great to hear. So yeah, go to / Doomsday on Twitch as well and check out his movie night stuff. It's going to be great fun. Again, thanks to all of you, and we'll see you in the next Fruit for Fun. Bye-bye.